In the meantime, forget Mark and his facts. Follow the president and his executive orders. Lots of them, because it looks like the White House will be bypassing Congress to deal with climate change, and with more than a spare amount of our change, which has our Judge Napolitano overheating right now, which he can ill afford to do. He's lost so much weight. You don't want to get the body temperature up and
you know how I lost weight? Climate change. Only kidding.
But, you know, to push the point, the president's going to bypass Congress to make the point.
Yes, he is. And he's going to do it in a way that's perfectly lawful. Unconstitutional, because the Congress has given away some of its authority to prior presidents, but lawful because he's using authority that they gave to him. For example, the president could have the EPA decide, because it's going to cost us money to clean up, fill in the blank, Sandy, we can therefore charge people for the cleanup costs. Because it's going to cost us more money to clean up the atmosphere, we can make automobiles that are more fuel efficient, and we can tell the manufacturing companies how efficient they should be.
Is that legal?
It's legal, but it's unconstitutional. It's legal because Congress let the president have that power, but the act of transferring that power from the Congress, where the Constitution gives it, to the president, where the Constitution keeps it away, is an unconstitutional act. This goes back to the era of Richard Nixon. When the Congress refused to do what the president wanted, he pulled a swindle on them. Give me the EPA. Let me hire a bunch of experts. We'll clean everything up. We'll make the rules. Don't worry about it. Congress said, sure, you make the rules. Fast forward or wind it up 40 years later to Barack Obama, and you have an EPA enacting rules that the Congress has expressly rejected. You have a president ruling by decree and boasting about it in his inaugural address. That's what we have in America in 2013.
But they don't even know what they're going to do with this money. In other words, let's say they got to the point they could push this $700 billion a year, which is crazy, and we would be footing the large part of it if it were to come to pass. Then how do you make sure, let's say, whatever you want to do to address this problem that might not be a real man-made problem, how are you going to make sure it gets into the right hands and not just obliterated into these poor countries that are not necessarily well run?
Well, you can't. The bureaucrats that Felipe Calderon, about whom your prior guest just so eloquently spoke, believe that they can right any wrong and regulate any behavior if you just give them enough cash. They don't have an organization to do it. They're going to try to get the UN to raise dues, since some dues are paid by the executive branch of the country and not passed upon by the legislative branch.
But who would even police the money, like a global inspector general, to make sure it's going?
A global inspector general who works for the left-wing bureaucrats who believe that they can tame Mother Nature by spending cash. It's a self-congratulatory, self-reinforcement, big government belief that if you give us enough power and enough cash, we'll make it stop raining. That's absurd, and the American public should reject it before the president starts signing those executive orders.
You know what? There are a lot of environmentalists, Judge, who look at the storms and everything else, and they go back and they say, get them when they're afraid. So if you want to see more of this, keep ignoring it. If you don't want to see more of this, to Mark Moreno's point, cough up.
Government has been scaring people for hundreds of years whenever it wants their freedom or wants their cash. When it wants to control them or when it wants cash from them, it scares them. And then they naturally cling to the big arms of Big Brother for comfort and security. It did this after 9/11. It did it during the Cold War. Now they're going to do it again with environmentalism. The American public should realize you can't spend cash to change the laws of nature. We don't regulate nature. Nature confines us.
But that's very well put, by the way, but they argue that we have changed nature, and it's up to man to let nature take it back.
There's so little scientific evidence. The only way they can make that argument is to pick and choose little snippets of evidence from here and there and connect them like connecting dotted lines on a child's puzzle. But if you look at the big picture, it just doesn't make sense that we could change the rotation of the earth or when it rains or how the wind blows by throwing cash at it.
But it would be good to know if you're going on a nice vacation and you could pay for it not to rain.
Remember the movie Patton where George C. Scott says to the chaplain, give me a weather prayer. Oh, but General, it's going to rain. No, give me a weather prayer. We need sun when we attack those guys. Guess
not
what?
Too far from that.
The sun came out.
Yeah, the sun came out, and we're paying for it. Judge Napolitano, thank you very much.
Pleasure, well.